Hey, this is Rita Quinn, and when I want to know what's happening in with the activist world, I go to freekeen.com.
This program is brought to you by freekeen.com. Freekeen.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. Freekeen.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. Freekeen.com.
All right, I'm here with Mr. Standard. I just watched your speech about preparation, which we'll be posting, but what I wanted to ask you about was, when do you make the hard decision to leave town? Like, when do you decide, okay, it's too dangerous to stay and it's time to leave, or, okay, I can weather this and stay in my house? How do you make that?
Hi, Taryn. That's a really good question you asked me. It's really a difficult, personal, painful question, because you're leaving the safety and sanctity of your home, your castle, your domain, in order to venture out into the great wild unknown. So if there are insurrections, if there are riots, if there are illegal law enforcement activities, such as we witnessed in Katrina, there are a lot of risks to you and your family. So that's why I always maintain that unless you are in the direct impact zone, that it's best to move. But if that forest fire is booming down the street, if the mudslide's coming, you're going to have to make a decision. Okay, at this level, we'll stay. At this level, we'll stay. At this level, we'll stay. If it crosses this threshold, then we go to our evacuation plan. And that's the plan that I recommend everybody make ahead of time. And in case of something like that Katrina catastrophe, people usually had a couple of days before in the cities they were locked in or clamped down. If you remember some of the illegal activities where the law enforcement people went door to door and were taking away people's guns and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they were forcing them to go to the dome.
Exactly. So I've made the decision for myself and my family. We all stand by it, and all other free Americans should make the decision to never go to a FEMA camp. So if you are prepared, if you have your food, your water, your portable shelter, and your transportation, as well as your network of friends and family in the community, in the neighborhood, you will know. They will alert you if there's something bizarre happening, something bizarre, evil, deadly. When those things happen, your network has to help inform you. And then, and only then, so you can obviously see the flames licking at your door or the river cresting its bank, then you're going to have to evacuate. And hopefully you've had the things pre-packed in your car that I've discussed. You've had the things pre-packed in your go bags. You know where your materiel is. You have that bank account in another town, the bank box, and you have your protection with you. So you take your vehicles, you take your bikes, your horses, whatever it is, and you've pre-planned the routes that you're going to take as well. So if you think about it ahead of time, you know where you're going to go. So if you live in Manhattan, you're going to have some real problems, because everybody's going to be trying to get to Long Island or Pennsylvania or upstate or away from that city, and all those bridges and tunnels are going to be blocked. So then you better pretty much figure out how to stay there for the duration or get out ahead of time. So there you're going to have to leave early. But if you live here in New Hampshire, where there are wonderful small towns and communities, you have relationships with local law enforcement, so hopefully they're not going to be involved in egregious actions, unconstitutional actions. And I have faith in many of those people, that they're good people, and they'll be working together with you. So that's where, by one, being able to take care of yourself, two, having a plan on when you're going to actually go, and where you're going to go, and how you're going to go, and being prepared so you can do it carefully, casually, not casually, but methodically, and not in a panic. So you know, oh, the fire's 1 block away from my home. If it comes within 300 feet of my house, even though I have a clear field of fire, we're going to have to evacuate. So your things are packed, and you know the route that you're going to take. So hopefully you don't live someplace where there's only one way in or one way out, because then you're trapped. So part of the planning of where you're going to reside, you have to think about escape routes. You have to think ahead. That's what this whole freedom is. When we think and act and take responsibilities as sovereigns of ourselves, and being responsible for ourselves and our families, our communities, our churches, then we don't have to count on the government. We don't have to wait for FEMA, for that government cheese. I mean, could you imagine being helpless and pathetic just because you only had one day's worth of food in your house?
Yeah.
No, better cut out that extra latte, save some money, have some extra food, have your papers organized, have your bank box in another town so that if the disaster hits your town, you can leave.
Well, do you actually have a group of friends that, I don't know, did you advertise or talk to them and say, let's have a meeting about this? I mean, how do you find people you can trust? Because I know you're pretty much screwed if you're by yourself.
Yes, you're screwed by yourself. Well, think about this. We people are social beings. We have families, hopefully. We have friends from work or our recreational activities, our churches or synagogues, whatever. So you start to know when you frequent these events, these areas, you start to know who's responsible or not. You find a group of right-minded people who you think are responsible and you can count on, and you start dealing with them. So I spend quite a bit of time with my children and their scouts, for instance. So I know the people who are involved in scouting with them. Most of those people, I think, are pretty dependable, pretty reliable. We do things together. We go through hardships together for fun, and not extreme hardship, but most of those people I could count on. From my Wilson Hill Pistol Club, great people there. Most of them very dependable. So you can't trust everybody, can't count on everybody. You get your friends, get your family, and you find the ones you think you can count on, and you make your plan ahead of time so that you can deal calmly with the disaster when it hits.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Please go and visit www.blackdragontactical.com.
And they'll have a lot more information about this they could read up there, right?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Great.